Hey guys, time is almost up to win a Nintendo Switch and other amazing prizes from yours truly, so be sure to check the link in the description below to throw your name in the hat for those fabulous free gifts. Competition ends on the 29th of this month, so what are you waiting for? Have you ever been just playing a Zelda game and then you stop and just go, why is the moon so weird? And I'm not just talking about the weird giant face from the moon in Majora's Mask, though that's probably more creepy and ominous than it is weird. I mean, what's up with the blood moon from Breath of the Wild? The music, the lighting. I mean, the Zelda universe is no stranger to, well, strange oddities being present, but the moon stands out as one of the most bizarre elements of Hyrule. Because at first glance, the rather normal looking space rock doesn't really seem like anything out of the ordinary, but when you think about the mysterious activities that the moon is directly linked to, what if there's more to this moon than meets the eyes? In a video from fellow Zelda theorist Nintendo Black Crisis, he breaks down the science behind the Blood Moon event that happens in Breath of the Wild. Basically, he compares the Blood Moon from Breath of the Wild with a Blood Moon from the real world, which is only natural to compare since the event is known to occur IRL, albeit pretty rarely. To summarize the video, he concludes that due to Princess Zelda stating that the Blood Moon rises when Ganon's power is at its peak, and Ganon's power being based out of darkness, this would scientifically explain that since the land would grow with Ganon's darkness at his power's peak, red light would be the only light left to be reflected off of the moon's surface. Pretty neat, right? I mean, I was convinced until I started thinking a little bit harder into the subject. Probably too hard, but that is my job. So anyway, the first thing that stuck out to me is that real-life blood moons, also known as total lunar eclipses, are pretty rare. Like, occurring up to once every 3 years kind of rare. However, blood moons in Breath of the Wild are not that way. I mean, those things can sometimes occur as often as 2 nights in a row or more. If we are to assume that the planet Hyrule is on, let's call it planet H. If we are to assume that planet H operates at least somewhat similarly to our own planet Earth, which I would assume it does given it also has a similar, sun, moon, day and night cycle, this would pose a problem for the notion that Breath of the Wild's blood moon is purely scientific in nature. Furthermore, as NBC stated, a real-life blood moon occurs when only red light is reaching the moon's surface, meaning the other 80% of light isn't being reflected back at us, leading to a much darker evening. But in Breath of the Wild, a blood moon doesn't darken things up at all. In fact, the world seems to brighten up with an eerie red glow. Couple this with the clouds suddenly and inexplicably changing their speed and the repeated occurrences, and I'm convinced that Breath of the Wild's blood moon phenomenon isn't scientific in nature at all. It's magical. Oh yeah, and it also raises the dead, which I'm pretty sure is magical, unless this is actually the Legend of Zelda Frankenstein's Army or something like that. But you know, the blood moon from Breath of the Wild isn't the only time we've known the moon to herald the rising of the dead. Rewind back in time to Ocarina of Time. I feel like I say that a lot. In this game, when you're out and about adventuring across Hyrule Field, sooner or later the sun will set and the moon will rise, and with it, so do the dead. As soon as nightfall hits, dozens of stall children emerge from beneath the field of Hyrule. Oh, and by the way, I did a video with my buddy Hyrule Gamer last Halloween regarding this strange occurrence. Check it out if you want, links in the description below. Anyway, unless these undead beings just really wanted to take a nice stroll under the night sky and really didn't want a suntan, the only thing that's changed from the light of day is the light of the moon. So, okay, why am I spending so much time talking about the dead and the light and the magical nature of the moon? Hold your horses, I'm getting there. Back in Breath of the Wild, as many people know, Zelda has something specific to say about the chilling night of the blood moon. She states that Ganon's power rises to its peak under the blood moon. Ganon's power, a magical blood moon. What's the correlation? Why should the moon react to Ganon flexing on it a little bit? Another clue we can ponder from Breath of the Wild comes from the final fight against Calamity Ganon. When you're in combat beneath Hyrule Castle with the beast himself, if it just so happens to strike on the night of a blood moon, Ganon's health will be refilled as if he had received no damage at all, as if he were rewound. but otherwise he has no way of healing himself. Unless of course you're on hero mode, but that's besides the point. This begs the question, if the blood moon were truly under Ganon's control, why would he not use it to heal himself every time you fight? Because if you start the encounter and no blood moon occurs, he'll just receive damage and die like normal, implying he can't just activate it whenever he wants, even if it's to save himself. Does this mean that the blood moon happens outside of Ganon's command? What if it's not the moon reacting to Ganon's power, but rather Ganon's power reacting to the moon? But let's take a few steps back and set something else up real quick. We know the moon is alive. How? From Majora's Mask. And yes, I know that the world of Termina is most likely a parallel universe to Hyrule, which is to say it takes place apart from the land and universe that the usual games take place in. However, due to its parallel nature featuring the same yet different characters and whatnot, we can still derive information from the world of Termina that can then be used to explain certain aspects of the parallel counterparts in mainland Hyrule. In this case, the moon. As creepy as it looks in-game, it didn't always look like that. If you take a peek at the chair that the mayor sits on, you can see the moon's original smiling face detailed on top. Now, yes, this may even to some people be more creepy than its current expression, but the point is that the moon changed its expression. But why would it do this? As it's implied in-game, I believe it changed its expression when it was subjugated by the power of Majora's Mask and the Skull Kid, and this is why it appears angry or frustrated and even cries. Yep, you heard me. It cries at least twice in the form of precious gemstones called the moon's tears. I believe this means the moon is being forced by Majora against its will to destroy the earth. To destroy Termina. Contrasting this with regular world Hyrule's moon, no, it may not have a face on it, but it does have something else in common. It's also being subjugated by a dark force. It's being used to resurrect or rewind the dead, but by Ganon instead of Majora. So now let's tie this in with what we were talking about before I got off on my Majora's Mask comparison. If we have a magical living moon that is being used by but operates independently of Ganon, the next logical question would be, who or what is the moon? What's its background? Is it a new entity entirely, or one that we've already seen in the games? Well, the first possibility I'd like to bring up for the identity of the moon is the possibility that the moon is either fully or in part a representation of the goddess of time, who is directly mentioned in Majora's Mask. The Blood Moon's theme seems to feature rewound tunes, and the monsters and even Ganon himself seem to rewind back to life. And now this is kind of a bonus mini theory that I'm just kind of gonna stick in here, but many people believe the goddess of time is the forgotten fourth sister of the three golden goddesses who created the world. While I won't go too far into this and, the whole theory of the Tetraforce and stuff like that, it could be that since Din created the earth, Nehru created the law of the world, and Ferrore created life, the fourth sister, the goddess of time, could have created time, and therefore the day and night cycle, represented by the sun but contrasted by the moon. It seems like the people of the land of Termina knowingly accept the existence of the goddess of time, and pairing that knowledge with the fourth Triforce piece represented on the Hylian shield from Ocarina of Time definitely implies the validation of this theory. Furthermore, since the fourth piece, which in this case is representing the goddess of time, is both separated from the other three pieces and also inverted, it could imply that the goddess is against the other three, which melds well with the notion that the Blood Moon, aka the goddess of time, assists Ganon and his wiles. Another piece of evidence that the goddess of time is a golden goddess herself is the fact that she also has a spiritual stone, the Moon's Tear. Could it be that the moon is either being forced to or willingly is partnered with Ganon? And could this help explain the strange backwards melody in Breath of the Wild 2's trailer? Is Ganondorf being rewound back to life? Of course, if I follow this rabbit trail too far, I'll get into all sorts of stuff like where's the wielder of the fourth Tetraforce piece, so I'll stop that theory there and get back on track now. The next possibility is that the moon is whatever demon or dark god resides in the dark goddess statue outside Hateno village, though I'd say I don't personally believe this one due to the nature and personality of the statue's resident. I don't know, I just can't see it, that guy's too funny. But finally, it could always be a new unknown demon that Demise either created or cursed the moon with way back in the days before Ocarina of Time. This would explain why the moon seems to hold the power of resurrection over the dead, even when it's set in a universe without Ganon such as Termina, implying the power over the undead dead was given to the moon and not to Ganon. But of course, this is all now in the realm of speculation, and on that note, what do you think? Let me know in a comment below. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching my crazy theory. Please be sure to subscribe with that bell icon if you haven't already to stick around for all the juicy Nintendo content right here at Masked Nintendo Bandit. And also like this video if you enjoyed it to spread the love. As always, humongous thank you to all of my amazing patrons who make my day every day. If you're interested in getting your name up here at the end of all of my videos, check out the links in the description below for more info. Also down there are the links to my social media pages, and hey, don't forget about the competition that's ending really soon. That's all I've got for this video. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. This is Masked Nintendo Bandit signing out. Peace!